6 pound, right?
Yep. Well done.
Hey, we're here. All right, our broadcast has started. We're going to give this just a few minutes, let a couple people join in. Hey everybody, if you're watching, my name is Ryan Harris. I'm the host of the SnoWest show, as well as publisher of SnoWest magazine. And I'm here. We're here in West Yellowstone. We're about to go out and ride the 2026 Skidoos again this week. We rode them. Was it last week or the week before?
Week before.
The week before.
Yeah.
So we've been on the new 2026 Skidoo Summits, the free ride, and we rode everything else on the lineup too. But
Oh yeah.
joined here with members of the Skidoo engineering team, and we will be taking your questions here. So in here just in a few minutes, we're going to get going with that. If you've got some questions. Hey, Dave Demuth is already on. Hey, Dave, how are you doing? This is my buddy from Michigan. Ford engineer. He
Super Duty guy.
Yeah, the Super Duty guy.
Yeah.
He came out here a few years ago, rode with us. Thanks for listening, Dave. All right, we got a couple guys on here. So, yeah, we're going to talk about 2026 Skidoos. So you guys have some major changes going into 26. And I think, there's some sentiment out there where people, because you did so many big changes, 850, Gen 4, Gen 5, people are kind of in this format where they're used to give us a new chassis every 3 years, like an all new snowmobile. Mm-hmm. But we're not really going to get that because we're kind of at peak. We've kind of hit the peak of what we can do for chassis and all of that. And now you're just making everything better. And that's what we're seeing for 2026 is you're seeing the Summit X get 14 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
Shorter tunnel, coil over rear suspension, things that I love. I mean, I always harp on you guys, like make these things lighter, and you're doing that. And the 2026 Skidoo Summit X with Expert package, that was a surprise to me. The S32 narrow front end. When you went to the S34 a few years ago, I thought that was a big step forward, like bringing the ski stands in and making that sled really agile. And then when the Gen 5 came out the following year, the S34 was perfectly paired with that. It just made that machine work so well. And now S32 with the Gen 5, like that thing is pretty legit. Like that's a mountain weapon. Let's go through. I'll give you some introductions here again. We are live here in West Yellowstone, Montana. We are about to go out and test the 2026 Skidoos more this week. We've been on them a couple weeks ago. If you're joining, thanks for tuning in to the SnoWest show. Thanks for being on the YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button if you can. It really helps us out. To my left here, again, I'm Ryan Harris with SnoWest Magazine and the SnoWest Show. To my left here is Steve Cowing from Skidoo. Steve, you're over media PR relations?
Correct, yes.
How long have you been with Skidoo?
Oh, man, that's embarrassing to answer, but 34 years.
You're hiding some gray hair under that hat.
Yeah, there's a reason.
Yeah, you and me
hey,
both.
Look at you. You made a switch here recently, Ryan.
I did. Yeah, just the different hat here. Fred Desjardins.
Yep.
You are project manager for all of Skidoo, correct?
Yes, I'm project manager in the engineering of Skidoo. Yeah.
And you've been with Skidoo a long time because we gave away that 2024 Skidoo Summit Expert this year that had the 1994 graphics package on it.
Correct.
You were also on the engineering team back in 1994 on that first summit.
Yes. There was a few of us still there, and I started in 91, so 34 years ago.
91. Were you riding? What was your first mountain ride? Because you're a legit. All of you guys are legit mountain riders. Like we've ridden in gnarly mountain backcountry terrain. Fred, we had you in a canyon 2 weeks ago. That was a good time. You guys are legit mountain guys. When was your first experience in the mountains, though?
My first experience was at Togoti. I think it was like in 92. Yeah. And back then we were already working with the hack system that we showed 2 years later. Yeah.
So what were you riding back then? Was it like a Summit prototype? Or?
Yeah, it was a Proto F2000 at the time. We were with the Formula chassis in production, and we were already working on the F2000 model.
And then 2 years of F2000, then you went to S2000.
Correct.
Which was a big step forward.
Oh, yes.
That was a fun machine.
Yeah, we had the 670 was, let's say, one of the first real performance machine for the mountain.
Yeah.
The 670 S2000. Yeah.
The 670, honestly, when we were riding the 2026 Summit X with Expert package
Yeah.
with the S32 front end and just how narrow and agile that thing felt, I was thinking like, dang, this is like the first time I rode the 96 Summit 670 in the S2000 chassis, because
yeah?
that thing would just roll back and forth in the powder compared to everything else that was out there.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. Next to Fred, we have Matthew Hamal Gagnon. Am I saying that right? I'm not saying that right.
That's by Mathieu Hamel Gagnon, which
Gagnon,
is
okay.
super French, but yeah, no problem.
Super French. All right, we'll call you Matt or Super French. You are Skidoo product manager for Deep Snow. So your role is the summits and the free ride, anything deep snow related.
That's correct.
How long have you been in that position?
Actually, for 2 years with the Skidoo team. I recently took over the Skidoo Deep Snow lineup from Fred, but I've been with BRP for 10 years.
Okay. So how do you like being over the deep snow stuff, the mountain stuff? Do you get a lot of opportunity to come out west and ride?
Yeah, there's a lot of riding for sure. Super pumped. I mean, honestly, that was my goal when I first came in at BRP. I really wanted to do the mountain stuff. So being here today, having that responsibility, it's quite huge, and I really, really like it.
And I know you guys spend a lot of time in the West Yellowstone Island Park area, but you spend more time up in British Columbia. You have a facility up there in Sycamoose.
Exactly.
Is that where you spend the majority of the time doing R&D for?
Yeah, most of it. Yeah, we have a test session before Christmas, and then we come here, and then we go back. So we do pretty much half and half, but most of it is done in BC, yeah.
Do you guys go chase snow like in the middle of summer to keep validating product and keep tuning and refining?
Years ago we were doing that, but now everything is so well planned in advance that we don't have to. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive, honestly, that you can lock it all in within the season.
Yep.
And then we were out there in Valcourt, Quebec this past September, and we got to tour the facility, your office. I think I sat down in your desk. Well, we saw your R&D facility and your engine dyno bays, the race shop. That is quite the facility out there. And you've got a big team. I didn't realize how big the team, how many people were behind Skidoo, especially in the deep snow segment.
Ryan, I got to tell you that I've been on a lot of factory tours up there with these guys, been in a lot of different rooms. You saw more than any journalist I've ever seen get access to. There were areas I'm going, are you sure you're bringing them in there? And yeah, Fred brought the drawers.
That was cool. Like that was eye-opening to see how everything comes together, because, I've been around this stuff since the 80s. When I was young, I would tag along on the rides, and then in the mid 90s I would start going out and testing as a SnoWest tester and just kind of follow this along. And back then the Western stuff especially was just kind of done out of a trailer. It was kind of second thought, it wasn't the priority within the organizations on any of the brands. And to see that go and progress, but then go walk into your guys' facility and just see how big that is and how much time and equipment and manpower you have dedicated to deep snow, to summits, to free rides.
Yeah. The amount of technology that is in this vehicle today, the performance they show, the weight, everything, the reliability, it's not simple. So we need a good crew to support all that.
It's not simple back like when the Summit 670 and you just pop the hood open and it would sit there on hinges with a cable holding it open.
Yeah.
The engine sitting there and the carburetor right behind it.
Just needed fuel and fire and you were good to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just carry your little pack of jets and you're on your way.
Yep.
All right. Next to Matt, we have Vincent Duchesne, Skidoo product manager.
Exactly.
So talk about what your role is with Skidoo.
It's the product strategy overall. So in the product development, I'm responsible of the voice of the customer, if we can say it this way. So taking all the feedback from consumer, from you guys, media, and bringing that to the table and prioritizing what we should bring next, and giving homeworks to these guys, in fact.
So how are we doing as media?
Pretty good. I mean, we truly take to the heart what you're saying, and we consider it in our product development for sure.
Well, it's fun working with you guys. Again, doing this for so many years. I mean, there've been some arguments and some heated words, way back in the past. But I think as the product's gotten better and feedback, and I see you guys taking feedback from dealerships and consumers and ambassadors, sponsored riders, racers, media, like part of your strategy is to go out and not only take people who ride skidoos and take their feedback, but take global feedback from every snowmobiler.
Yeah, and not only in North America, we do survey with people from Scandinavia as well. So just to make sure that we're bringing the right stuff in the market at the right time, and not only bringing things that would make sense for us, but that doesn't make sense for the consumer. So this way, we're making sure that what we're bringing to the table is something meaningful for the consumer at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, for
I think you guys are going to need to relay that story of Gen 5 and when the ambassadors first saw it.
Yeah.
What the reaction was that led to what we have today.
All right, let's hear it.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I think it was back in October 21, like peak of COVID. But we were in Valcourt with, I think Carl was there, Jay,
Tony.
Jeremy, and Tony.
Yep.
And for the first time, we were ready to unveil the Gen 5 to them prior to the product launch. And right away, so we took out the tarp, and I think it was Jay that stepped on it. And right away he said, "Oh, that's so slim. We can go to 32 now." And we had all our arm masks on our faces because of COVID, and we were like kind of laughing behind our mask because we knew what that would.
Because you had that coming.
Yeah. At some point, we didn't know when yet, but we know that it was coming at some
We're
point.
pretty savvy out here, the Western guys, Jay and Blaine and those guys. Yeah, for sure. Down there at the end of the table, we have Pascal Gagnon, hard enduro rider, dirt biker. But you are the vehicle dynamics specialist for Skidoo.
Yeah.
So talk about what that is. What is vehicle dynamics?
In fact, it's a very nice job. I really like it. I'm doing this job since over 25 years already, and it's passed like nothing. My job basically is make the sled fun to ride. So that's the biggest part of my job. So we take feedback from everybody. Mainly suspension calibration on my side. We have a awesome team of engineer and technician back home helping us developing the better product possible.
So, and I know Rhett and Justin and Brock and Bruce are all listening right now. We've been riding with Pascal for a long time. You were there 2 weeks ago pulling on my ski and pulling on Bruce's ski and getting us out of those holes that we were digging constantly.
But those guys pull on mine as well.
Not as much. Like the ratio is way off. Like
I was glad that Bruce was there, so he got stuck too. So it was supportive.
The spotlight was
Not
not always on you.
Yeah.
we needed you there, Matt. You needed to be on that one.
Yeah,
That would've been
I
a good
wish
one.
I could.
You'd have been stuck there right next to
Oh,
us.
for sure, for sure.
Oh, that's fun. All right, Steve, are you filtering through some of the comments? It looks
Yeah,
like we got
yep.
quite a few going here.
We've got a really good one first, and I think this is a legit one. Can you explain how the summits can cool as well as the old ones with the shorter coolers and shorter tunnels?
Yeah, I'll leave it to Mathieu.
Yeah, sure. So first thing we did, we reduced the length, sorry, of the heat exchanger, but we also optimized the flow inside. So we did some flow analysis, and we reduced the turbulence. So we have now a better flow, so we can have a better heat exchanging.
You're talking about the liquid moving through the heat exchanger?
Exactly.
Less turbulence
Yeah,
inside that?
we do flow analysis, so you want to have no sharp turn, you want to have smooth turn. So the flow is really laminar, so you can have the, let's say, more fluid going through all the section, so it flows better. So we did that. And we also have a new eye scratcher that are more performant. And we also adjust the length of the heat exchanger right where that track is projecting snow. So the projection of the snow is really in line with the location of the heat exchanger.
So if you're going down, a trail and it's not loose, deep powder, and you have a mountain track, 2.5 inch track or 3 inch track, and it's kind of firm snow, is the track itself picking up snow and throwing it on the heat exchanger, or are you relying on the ice scratchers?
It's both, mainly ice scratcher. So ice scratcher basically projecting snow inside the track, and then the track pull it up and projecting it on the heat exchanger.
And so the snow is kind of coming out through the holes, the openings in the track, the
Exactly.
drive openings and the little slots.
Yeah. And there's a fume creating, so everything is like spraying on the tunnel, and it cool down the tunnel.
Can you create this on a computer, like design this and create models of how cooling works and how ice scratchers work?
We can analyze the flow inside because it's like a closed environment, but like the projection itself, it's quite complex.
So you actually got to get out on the snow and look
Yeah,
and see
yeah,
how that
for
works.
sure. Yeah, and we have engineering tests that we rely on, and we do a lot of comparison. And there's a, let's say, different condition, and we have a bunch of already pre-approved tests, and we need to go through those tests. And when you go through those tests and everything pass, it means that it's going to be good in the field.
Okay, so with the super short tunnel and the smaller heat exchanger, what is the cooling efficiency on a 26 compared to a 25?
I don't have the number on top of my head.
But is it going to be more susceptible to getting hot or same? Just as
I think we're a bit
Just as
better.
efficient? Yeah.
We're a bit better, if I recall correctly.
Yeah,
So
we are slightly more efficient.
Yeah.
in
with the shorter system.
Yeah.
yeah,
So it got
Yeah.
better. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Next question, Steve.
Engineering, you gotta love it. Constant improvement. We got a couple trail questions here from Dave, so we're gonna take care of Dave right out with this. So he wants to know, he wants to upgrade an 850 or upgrade to a Renegade 850, and it's like he's wondering why the 850 is not in the gauges for 26. And obviously, Vincent, we made that change strategy-wise a couple of years ago, where we moved the 4 strokes into the Renegades and the 2 strokes stayed on the MXZs.
Exactly. And most of the 850 configuration we used to have in the Renegade in the past are now in. You can find them in quite the equivalent in the MXZ lineup.
Right.
So I would invite what's Dave?
Dave,
Yeah,
yeah.
David.
Yeah, to look at the MXZ lineup and the.
But if he likes the Renegade,
Yeah.
likes everything about the Renegade, why not offer 2 engine packages in that?
Well, I mean that's what we used to have before, like two different vehicles, two different names, but very similar vehicles. So we decided to separate that a little bit more, create differences between MXZ and Renegade. So MXZ is really the closest to racing, a bit more aggressive riding style. We have 129 and 137 track lanes, whereas Renegades is mostly 4-stroke, a bit more comfort, a bit more wind protection for long rides, still performance ride, but more long distance. So yeah, we try to separate that, learn from what we learn from the consumer as well. Consumers from 2-stroke versus 4-stroke are slightly different.
So do most of your Renegade riders prefer the 4-stroke, the 900 turbo?
Exact, yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
think
what-
right now the only thing he's missing, if he were to get an MXZ, would be the extra wind protection.
Yeah, but
Basically, you've got the same everything else. You can get a 137. He's got that covered.
Yep.
So he'd be off really well off taking a look at the MXZs in a 137 length.
So Dave, it's kind of like when Ford offers a Super Duty, but you have to get the Platinum to get the features that you want. Some of us want those features, but down in a Poor Man Limited or a Lariat or XLT. Kind of along those lines.
Yep.
All right, just kidding with you, Dave. Next question.
Is there a reason that the Summit X didn't get the twin link steering?
The twin link is new this year for us. Okay, so we wanted to try it first on the Expire, and the Expire is where is our lab. Okay, this is what we call the lab segment. So we always push more the limit on the Expire. Our Expire customer, they are open to try novelties like the S22 34 in 22. So this is where we do. I will not say experience because we ride it quite a lot years before. And so let's see how it goes on the Expire, how the people like it, and who knows where it will end up. Okay, but this is why we don't spread everything at first.
Yeah, make sure it's the right move.
So as a follow-up to that, I've seen it in the comments here, and I had it on my list as well. Along those same lines, why not put the coil-over rear suspension in the Expert?
Yeah, it's a bit of the same thing. Okay, we were having torsion springs since 95, so we will not day and overnight, let's say, switch everything. Okay, so we had let's say a standard for the bumps absorption in our Summit. Obviously, we wanted to try something lighter. Okay, and we thought it will fit well the X package, and we thought that the performance would be very good for a mountain sled to go from the parking to the mountain. And so far, the first trial we have done with public, people are pleased with it, even SnoWest editor. So let's see where we go. But it's always challenging. Okay, when you introduce something totally new, we need to pick really where it fit well. What's the customer demand for that specific segment, and we think that for this year the X was the right choice.
And as I understand it too, you're trying to create a little more difference between the 3 mountain deep snow products in the deep snow segment.
Yeah.
So you have Free Ride, which is kind of the premium backcountry, big jump Rob Alford machine. And then you have the Summit with Expert package, which is, well, like you said, it's kind of the lab. It's kind of, well, let's try this. People are asking for the most extreme machine. Let's try this on that model. The Summit X, I have seen those two kind of deviate from each other more for 2026.
Yeah.
Become significantly more different.
Yeah. When we first launched the Expire in 2020, okay, we wanted to improve our precision over the previous X package. So since 2020, we just pushed the Expire to be more precise, better inside healing, better holding the line. So everything we've done to the Expire is just to improve its precision. And the X, okay, we kept the effortless, the playfulness of the vehicle. And this year we wanted to use the X to make a statement on weight. So we reduced 14 pounds, and the coilover was part of the 14 pounds.
Well, you did it. I'm a convert. The X is awesome. I absolutely love the coilover. Like it's responsive. You can feel the weight difference. I love the way the coilover feels on the back end.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal sled.
Yeah, Pascal can tell us more about the coilover behavior, but it gives certainly a touch of lightness on the rear. Yeah.
Let's jump into that. I know you've got more questions lined up there, but real quick, the difference between torsion springs and coilover. What is the feel? What's the objective there?
On our side with Skidoo, we always work with torsion spring, which can separate the spring motion ratio from the rear shock motion ratio. So it gives us more flexibility to cover a wider range of capacity and bump absorption. For sure, for an engineering point of view, it's nicer and easier to be precise with the torsion spring to managing both motion ratios separately. Obviously, like Fred said, the goal of the coilover was, first of all, to save weight, because we knew our torsion spring concept was pretty refined in terms of weight shaving. However, we knew with the concept different, like the coilover was more efficient, and we were able to, by design, save weight over there. And implement it in the Summit was the way to do it, since it's our workhorse of the lightweight.
All right. Steve, you got another question for us?
Yeah, I think this one from Jason's going to go play right into what we just answered. But is there a plan to add 32-inch front end to other models? I'd love to see it on the Summit Adrenaline. Entry-level mountain machine. It's pretty much falling in the same categories what you just said with the 32.
Exact. So give it a bit of time, okay, and we'll see how people love it and where we go from there. We always have a plan and long-term strategy. As mentioned, okay, we introduced the S34 in 2022 on a Gen 4. We knew that some people would be concerned about the paneling out at that time, but the Gen 5 was coming the year after, and we wanted to touch the market with that suspension first to see if our thinking was the right one. Obviously it was. Now the 34 did quickly become the new standard for the industry. And now with the S32, let's see where we go from here with that. But there's for sure even more possibility.
How long have you been riding and testing the S32 front end on a Gen 5?
We started that back in 21. It was before COVID.
Yeah. I recall, Fred, we have testing it in your garage
During
the COVID.
Yeah.
During the COVID, because we were not allowed to go many places.
Yeah, so that's a good story. Now that it's long time past, we can talk about it. Okay. We were not authorized to work, okay, because of the COVID. So we steal a lot of stuff from the shop, and we brought it in my garage.
Yeah.
And we were working from home.
Oh, yeah.
Good. That's how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, correct.
What about twin link steering? Was that same time frame? Were you working on that back then as well?
Yeah, this has been a long-term project. Okay, we wanted to have a similar capacity than the rack steering, but with no weight addition. So, yeah, Maxime Dormois has been working on that for at least 3 years. Mm.
Okay.
Cool. Well, we got some more. I'm surprised by the Renegade questions, but I love seeing it. So Dave and T-Boys, T-Boys has jumped in on this. I'd like a new Renegade, but I don't want a four-stroke. The backcountry, I guess, with a 43-inch front end will work great too. I believe I'd like to try one first. So just so everyone knows, we do read these comments and take these notes and bring them back, and it's great product research for us overall.
Mhm.
Maybe we need to know what it is that these Renegade buyers are looking for that we're maybe missing a mark on there.
Yeah, maybe they're because we just launched a Raz RX front suspension on the Renegade, so that's maybe what they're hook up to. But just remember that last year we introduced it in the MXZ, so it's already in the MXZ. If ever that's the front suspension that attracting you to the Renegade.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, there's an exception in the Renegade lineup. There's the 850 and 600R E-Tech available in the Enduro package.
Mm.
So if ever you truly want a two-stroke in a Renegade, that's available there.
That is available?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the only exception in the Renegade lineup in terms of engine. That's the Enduro package.
It's a two-stroke with the ride light and the behavior of, the vehicle platform is set like a Renegade with a two-stroke.
With RAS 43? RAS X 43?
It's not the Raz RX, not the latest one, because this one has the Pilot TX skis, so the adjustable skis with the blade that you can move up and down.
Mm.
And this ski is not compatible with the newest ski spindle, so that's why it remains on the former Raz X front suspension. But it's still a 43 wide front suspension.
All right.
All right, we'll put this one. It's another good one. But what about putting shot on 850 non-turbo trail sleds?
Yeah, I mean that would save some weight. I mean it's not everybody that's ready to pull on the rope on the morning on trail, unfortunately.
We had it in the backcountry though.
Yeah, but well on backcountry we have it on 850.
Mm.
Some of them. Yeah.
So it's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. Good. By the way, we should probably tell everybody we don't answer future product questions, but we sure love hearing what you're thinking. So that's great. Keep them up. What is the overall weight of the 10.25 screen plus the battery?
It's 2.8 kilogram addition, so 2.8 kilogram it must
6.2 pounds.
6.2 pounds. Yeah, thank you, Fred, for the calculation. It's fast.
He was prepared.
My screen should about there. Can you guys turn up the volume a little bit? Okay.
Turn up.
Let's see. Yeah, I'll work on that. Keep going with the other
All right.
questions there.
What about secondary rollers? I realize they were updated last year, but I'm still hearing of failures.
On
Any
the
plans to
roller,
improve?
yeah. We have a new roller since 25, all 850 with either turbo or 146 track length were offered with the new roller. And in 26, all 850, no matter the track or the package, will come with the new roller as well as the 900 turbo.
Awesome. Okay. What parts need to be changed on the Summit X26 in order to have the 22-inch front end like on the Expert?
Yeah, this will be a very hard conversion because you need to change the steering, the twin link. We will not recommend the S32 without the twin link. So, yeah. So I would say it will be a great conversion. I'm not saying it's not possible, but you might look to buy one. So
It is possible though, because there's some guys out here that are crazy enough.
yeah, I know. Yes, you can. You can buy all the pieces and fit it in.
Yeah.
Is that one of those, if you've got enough time and enough money, you can do it?
Yep.
Okay. All right. What about the 175 going away? Why was the decision to discontinue it?
I'll ask Vincent to answer that one.
Well, there's a trend right now of people going to shorter tracks, and I think since the turbo came out, people are moving slowly but surely to shorter tracks. I mean, 154 is now the most popular track length, and 155 kind of went away by itself. So we were selling less and less. I think our competitor did the same, removed them at some point.
At about the same time, I believe. Yeah.
Couple years before us, I think. But I mean, all depends on snow conditions, I guess. If we got a super big winter and people will maybe go back to 165, and then we'll ask a bit more about longer track lengths. But
So, like right now, if you sold 100 Summit X's, how many are 54s? How many are 65s? How many back when you had a 75 were 75s?
175 was a minority.
Like less than 10%, 5%?
Yeah, less than 10%, I would say.
Okay.
And I would say 154 could probably 55%. I would say 165, maybe 40, 45, and then the balance would be 146. 146 with the free ride in 24 had a little step up because of the turbo. So that was nice to see that people are in the deep snow market are quite following the product news. So
They are, yeah. And they like to go from whatever they have to whatever's new,
Mhm.
and they'll even cross brands to do it. But yeah, you'll have somebody that's been on a Summit X for their entire riding time, and then they'll jump to a free ride 146 turbo just because it's new and it's something fun, and then maybe they'll bounce back to something different.
Yeah. I'd like to add something on this track length things. Since we introduced the 180 horsepower turbo, the track length went shorter, okay? Because why having a 165 if you're having 180 horsepower with a 154, 55, you can go where you want, okay? Because of the extra power and keep the agility. For sure, a long track is always giving you more flotation, but the power that I think this was a real trigger to go shorter.
On the topic of tracks, I know somebody popped up on one of our previous YouTube videos on the SnoWest show. On the Summit X, you were able to make that track lighter by 2 pounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you did that by making the outer lugs narrower on every other row, but you also made the track belt itself thinner.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that a compromise to durability or track strength or anything?
No, we did not just shave. There was some construction difference made by the engineer. So the capacity of that track is as good as the previous one, with a thinner base. Yeah.
Okay. How are tracks developed? Like the construction process. Like, do you all get to design where you want the lugs and how wide the lugs are, and then how do you play with that design to come up with what works best?
Maybe Mathieu, you can spin a bit on this one.
Yeah, basically, we have a track engineer, so Yvon has been working with track for many, many years. It's all about flotation, and a lot of tests is done. So basically, we want to make sure we keep the same floatability and traction. And what we found out with the track design that we came up with is we were reducing the width of the lug, and there were no downside to that. So we were not losing any floatability or traction. So we figured out that actually we had maybe too much lug, So we're doing some infill tests, but we're also basically developing those track with Camso, which is the partner here, and we analyze, what's the surface area that we have, and we go out with that and do some analysis on that. So yeah, it's both, let's say, track design with CAD simulation and field test that we do. Yeah.
Okay. What have you seen in your testing? And I know you got more questions. This is another one that I had pop up. 15 wide versus 16 wide. Like Skidoo is known for having 16 wide tracks on its 2 summits. The Freeride, however, has a 15 wide track. What is the big difference that you're seeing there? Is it a flotation, traction, drivability, handling?
May I?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So, we did put the 15-inch track on the Freeride because of the momentum of that vehicle. Typically, a Freeride rider will get more momentum. So when you're going from 0 to 15 miles per hour, this is where the 16-inch is shining, give you a second chance, I would say. Over that, okay, it's become pretty similar, but some people will prefer the lightness of the 15-inch for high-speed tricks. And yeah, we are not ready to do that compromise on X and Xpire. We're going slow sometime in the trees. We really want to keep the flotation that the 16-inch offer us.
So one of the aspects that you talked about going to the S32 front end is increased grip on the mountain on a side hill, 8% more. I think.
Yeah, depending on the slope angle.
Yeah.
From let's say on a 25-degree slope angle, that's plus 8%, and on a if you go on a quite steep when it's a 45, that's plus 13% more.
So you're bringing the uphill ski a little farther out of the snow, which allows the track to cut into the mountain a little tighter, and that's where you get that traction.
You lean less, in fact.
Yeah.
The
The balance point of the sled, you need to lean less to have your sled in balance, which means your track is more flat, which means you have more footprint and more traction.
Okay.
Let's compare it with a snow bike, which is always in equilibrium, whatever the hill is. So you get maximum traction. So our goal and thinking is going toward this.
I felt that of exactly what you're talking about when we were riding 2 weeks ago on the 2026 Summit X with Expert package. I kept overriding it, and you guys warned me before the ride. You're going to override this thing. Like you're going to go out there and you're going to be laying on your shoulder the first time you try to side hill it. And yeah, it's like a snow bike. It just cuts its own path. There's not a lot of having to really wrestle the thing and lift it and lift that outer ski up to get it to carve. You just stay neutral and just do a little bit of input, like very minute input. Maybe, being 6'4" and being taller, my little bit of input makes it do a lot more than Steve Martin, somebody closer to the handlebars. But in that scenario, man, that you just stay neutral and it just kind of cuts its own path. You don't feel like you're having to overcome leverage on any point.
Yep. And by losing you for half an hour or maybe an hour in that particular afternoon, you seem to appreciate that 32 front end.
I did. I did. I put myself on my shoulder a few times, though, but I had to go out and figure out how that thing worked. And
it was funny.
Yeah, it's a different riding style. And going from the Summit X to an Expert, 2 years ago was not really different. You kind of do the same riding style. For 25, it changed a little bit. 26, it's different. Like if you come off of a Summit X and get onto a Summit Expert, you've got to let your muscle memory come back to what the Expert does. You've got to really think and control your motion. You don't want to do anything aggressive because you can just stay neutral. You don't have to put a lot of input into it.
We really put the focus of keeping the driver in neutral position. This is where we save the most of energy without jumping from one running board to the other. And this is the goal of this vehicle.
And this combined with the twin link, okay, now when you go across a old trench, you're going to be able to keep your line easier. So
okay, talk about that, because that's another thing I have on my list. What makes it be better in that scenario where if you side hill across an old hard chunk of snow, an old track in the snow?
With the Pitman arm system, okay, the ski are not moving always straight, okay, the bomb steer. So that gives you more input, okay, when you take bumps, it pushes you from side to side. Now with the twin link, okay, it stay more neutral. So even though you hit a bump, okay, the vehicle stay where it should be, so it stay in line.
So as your shocks compress on a Pitman arm steering, and the shocks compress and your skis come up and down, they're actually getting wider.
Correct, and they come wider, narrower, and also they do like this. Okay, so
they turn. They don't.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
They turn a little bit. We have about 1.5 degrees of bump steer. So if you compare it, your outside skis opening, 1.5 degree, which have been cut by half with the twin link system.
Okay, so the ski is staying straighter and more on track with the S32.
Yeah.
Plus, what Pascal was saying, you are more neutral. Okay, so you are less depending on this because your vehicle is less fully on the side, So
And there's less free play as well. So the rubber that were on each side of the ski leg, we removed them. So that ski is really rigid and fixed. So when you're crossing old trench, your ski stays straight and doesn't move like that.
So it's more solidly connected to the ski leg.
Exactly.
To the spindle.
Yep.
But for my point of view, the biggest advantage of the twin link system is really that we have those 6 more degrees of turning ski. The outside ski is turning 6 more degree, so it's allow you to tackle a steeper side hill with more precision and having more control of it.
Like in what way? Because the handlebars will turn more and you can do a better rider position?
No, the inside ski, if you turn the boat ski, the steering is turning the same amount of degree, but with our regular steering system, the outside ski the ski tackling the side hill, is having less turning radius than the inside ski, which has been reduced with the completely eliminated with the twin link system. So both skis are turning equally.
Okay, interesting. All right, moving on.
All right, the next question, and I think this is one for Pascal. Is there any disadvantages to the coilover shock setup?
This is a good question. This is something that scared us at the beginning. We were being engineer working on systems since years, so we were not as confident. But Maxime Dormois brought us a very, very good geometry, and we were all agreeing to try it and excited to try it, but we were all expecting, let's say, bigger drawback than what we get. Officially, we end up with a weight saving and almost not noticeable drawback. But you guys, after riding it, and what do you think, Ryan, about the drawback of the coilover?
There's no drawback to the coilover, in my opinion, and I think you obviously did your research and did your R&D on the valving. Coilovers can kick, have a little lack of rebound damping, but yours is very controlled. But a coilover, to me, just feels more responsive. Like, a torsion spring system is maybe more plush, but the way we ride, the way most of the guys I ride with, we're not looking for plush. We're looking for take this impact, take this mogul, and be ready for the next one. Like quick reaction. We'll adjust our body position to take care of any harshness, which there really isn't. We want a more reactive, lively feel. So popping out of moguls on those single tracks going into the access to the backcountry, a much more lively feel where you can be more aggressive and more of a dirt bike feel. Just a better control, better dynamic, better damping, just for a more responsive, active, lively ride.
Yeah, we focus our calibration to keep our Ski-Doo DNA with this suspension. This was very important for us. We wanted something more playful, more responsive, going out of the snow easier after a bump. Then also we realized that reducing the suspension weight, which is unsprung weight, allow us to follow the terrain more easily and improve the traction in bumpy trail. We've seen quite good advantage of this coilover suspension.
Well, I feel a good advantage, so it works. Whatever you're doing over there on the smart side of the table is working out on the dumb side of the table.
Yeah. And, this coilover is having 2-inch stroke more than the competition, so we are quite proud of it.
And it's the lightest in the
Yes.
market.
Yeah.
And compared to the torsion spring version, we were still able to add 8 or 10 millimeter more suspension stroke than our regular torsion spring version.
Oh, so even more travel than the torsion spring.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, impressive.
All right, next question up is, as the automotives get closer, or we get closer to 2030 and the automotive restrictions on emissions tighten up, are there plans to keep the two-stroke snowmobiles compliant?
Today we are exceeding the APA regulation demand, with our e-tech technology, and we are in line to meet EPA for as long as we see on our radar, and I don't see the end of two-stroke at all.
Yeah, I agree. I have not heard of any regulations being brought forth from the ISMA Council, so we're in good shape.
Yeah.
Do we have the manufacturing capacity to keep up with a possible increase in demand because we're down to 2 for certain manufacturers?
For sure we have big capacity. You visit our plant, you've seen it. So, but I wish that we stay 3 than our industry. Our industry will be stronger with Arctica than without. So hopefully they stay in the game.
Yes, more competition keeps us
Absolutely.
innovating.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
We need that.
Buddy tracking, we're talking about with the new group ride feature that we've got. People are wondering, will we be able to share that across brands at some point? That's again a future question we may not be able to answer, but that's the question.
I'll try to answer something here. Obviously we are coming this year with that. Okay, before that, will have been hard for us to argue with any others manufacturer because we did not had this. So now that we have it, I don't know.
Cool. Could you please discuss other mountain sled changes for MY26 that are specifically intended to address reliability?
Yes, I mean the roller as a good example. Okay, anything that can come to your mind. As I said to you when you visit us in September, we want to be the lightest eventually, and we do everything we can, but we want to keep our durability. We always work on things here and there, things that are sometimes not obvious. Okay, just tolerancing, changing material, something that we don't necessarily advise loud. Okay, but we always keep working on durability.
And maybe to add to that, Fred,
Yeah.
during the winter we have a meeting every 2 weeks with the dealer.
Yeah,
So
good.
with the Western Oil dealer
Yeah.
and Eastern Oil dealer, and we're really connected with them on any emerging things. So we take that seriously, and we try to tackle that as fast as possible. So if there's something to change or to adapt, we can do it quickly for the next production. So we get the feedback from the dealer on a weekly basis.
Yeah, good thing that you brought it. So we are quite connect with our network.
Cool. Next question is a good one. Did you update the drive shaft? And I think specifically we can talk about the drivers themselves.
Oh yes, we have new driver that we introduced partially last year on the turbo, and this year all the mountain have it. So and on top of this, this new driver is available in service, so you can buy just the driver itself. You don't have to buy anymore the shaft, the bearings, and everything assembly. So you can just buy the driver for a fraction of the cost and retrofit it back to 23 if you want. So these sprocket virtually eliminate the ratcheting.
Okay.
Yeah,
That-
this is a big improvement that we didn't
Yes.
maybe did not speak much about it, but
Yeah.
it's really help, and it's in a good direction for ease customer to have a more reliable vehicle.
I'm pretty much out of questions here. You got some more on your side?
Let me look at what I had written down here. We talked about the 32-inch, why that's better. Talked about where you test summits. You know, you do a lot of your development up in BC. You do a lot of your development here. Changes to the Summit X. Oh, somebody asked if you could retrofit a coilover to the Expert. Is that going to be possible?
I mean, you can put the suspension under an Expert, but you will have the T-Motion. You know, you cannot have the T-Motion XT fit in.
But we will have a kit available in parts and accessory to retrofit the coilover up to the every 23 Summit.
On T-Motion only.
On
T-Motion only.
only.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so
Exactly.
previous model year Summit X's, you could
Yep.
retrofit the coilover to.
Correct.
But if you wanted to put a coilover on the Expert, you need to buy the entire rear suspension. That's probably your best route.
No, well, you can fit that. This kit will be retrofitable for an Expert, but you'll now have a Expert with
Yeah, you'll have
T-Motion.
T-Motion.
Yeah.
T-Motion Expert.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Let's see if I have anything else there. Any downsides with the shorter tunnel on the summits?
Well, I got a great question coming after you're done with this one.
No, no downside. No downside at all. I mean, it's it's less weight. It's lighter. Yeah, no downside. We've been through reliability tests, physical tests, and everything. So
I think from a handling point of view, it's better. Like
yeah, for sure.
You can feel, so we're 2.5 inches shorter on the 54.
Correct.
We have a nice picture of you.
Oh, yeah.
You,
Yeah.
Digging.
you were quite
Yeah.
digging straight down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
testing that
Yeah.
tunnel.
And you can get the tail end up and kind of walk around there. If the back end is sinking into the snow, you feel less drag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's become shorter.
Mm.
And it's like, you know, when we went, it was the 2020 when this first Expert came out with
Yep.
the short tunnel.
Yep.
Going from like a 2019 to the 2020, like that drastic feel of not having the snow flap drag in the snow, not having the full length tunnel. It's almost, you can almost feel that kind of a difference going from a model year 25 to the 26.
Yeah, I
When
recall
when you're
that.
vertical.
Yeah, I recall that day. Okay, there was me there and Pascal, and we were at your place, and we start to say, okay, what was new on the Expire, and you guys were like, oh, just that, you know. We had ski legs, new ski rubber, few new calibration, new spring, lighter spring, and the short tunnel. And it's amazing what the difference the short tunnel did, and the new ski leg, and you know you can go backwards easier, and you can trench like very.
Well, it's as far as like a vehicle, a snowmobile going through deep snow in the mountains in the West. It's made more of a difference for just overall handling and drivability through deep snow than anything else that's happened before. I mean, shortening the tunnel initially was as big as going to a new chassis.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. So going even shorter on that made it even better. Like if I had a 25 X or Expert, I would be trying to get a 26.
Yeah, you should.
I would be trying to get the 26 for the lightweight. I love the lightweight Summit X. And the S32, if you're an Expert guy and you're curious about that front end, big difference between a 25 and a 26 Expert. But the shorter tunnel, like that alone just would make me want to try to get into a 26 because it handles that much better out in the deep snow. You know, when you're really off on your own. You know, when I left you guys for half an hour and went looking around, like that machine just handled so great because you're in deep snow. There's no old tracks. It's good consistent snow. It's really deep. It's kind of over the hood stuff. And when that back end, the tunnel is not hitting the trench and catching the snow, and you're able to stand the front end up and make line changes and whip around trees quicker, it just makes the whole ride experience better.
And this shorter tunnel is not only shorter, it's thinner and lighter. This is a huge thing in our weight saving. So honestly, our chassis engineer work really hard to make it happen and as reliable as the old one. And it's a very good achievement for us to be able to shave that weight.
Yeah, it's a great balance because you took so much weight off the tunnel, off the rear suspension. Talking about the X, like the rear end of the machine got lighter, and the rear suspension with coilover got more reactive.
We also remove weight in the front, you know, with the aluminum arm, the new forged aluminum arm, the new front module where we attach the suspension is also a new way to cast. Okay, that we save 1.5 pound there, and a new air box that is lighter. So
3 pounds on the front, 11 pounds on the back.
Yeah,
good balance
from the shaft to the back. Yes. So
it is.
This is Brian. You're going to get a kick out of this question. It's from a guy named Bruce Curbs. If we're down to 2 manufacturers, will there be a color that resembles cat green? Asking for a friend.
The Expert this year is green. It's not, not the same green, but it's still.
It's closer.
We might have to brighten it up for Bruce just a little.
But
Bruce is a farmer. There's nothing wrong with going to the John Deere store, getting some green spray paint.
There you go.
But I seen Bruce spending more time, just a few time on our new Summit, and I think he can handle it.
Yeah, I think Bruce loved the free ride.
Bruce got very close with the free ride.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the free ride for a second. What are the change? It didn't get as many changes for 26 because you focused on that for 2025, but it did get the shorter tunnel, although the heat exchanger is still full length.
Full length, yeah.
And then it got the thinner wall on the chassis.
Yeah.
Right. Anything else different on the 2026 free ride?
No. Well, few SKUs are. Not, I think the 165 is now only available as a turbo. Other than that, it's pretty much a. And there's also the coloration. I mean, freeride colors is always a big topic among our consumers. The new Scandi blue with the red accent I think it pretty pops out on this.
So we've had the conversation years past where we've kind of talked about you would take the Expert, like the 2020 Expert was red and white, totally different than anything else in the lineup.
Yeah.
And most everybody would just go by the Expert because it was red and white.
Yeah.
And then in the last couple of years, you've kind of homologated the colors on the X and the Expert. Yeah. So they're the same colorways. The free ride you can get in whatever unique color it's offered in, but they're all available in black.
Yes.
Has that helped make people kind of focus in on what the actual models do differently for one from another rather than just buying a color?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
the
there's a lot of
Vincent
people.
will go on this.
There's a lot of people that were choosing, as you said, the sled based on color, but
Yeah.
not really on their riding style or the,
Mm.
the capacity of the vehicle. And moving from having the same color share between the X and the Expert now is kind of puts that on the same level, so people are not shy anymore to buy an X, and which is better for them as a sled.
Mm.
And I think that was a good move. I think we got pretty good feedback regarding that newest strategy.
I got a phone call from one of our guys in our crew this last week, and they're like, "Hey, where's the Expert?" Like, I don't know. One of you guys picked it up last week and been riding it. Like, I don't know. We've been talking. We don't know who has it. Did we really lose a snowmobile? Come to find out, Justin had it the whole time. He thought it was the Summit X because it was the same color.
So did Justin put some time on to get used to?
He did, yeah.
Yeah?
Justin's been riding the Expert. Been riding the X, and by the way, that RX I rode our X NA 850
Yeah.
yesterday, or 2025. Rode
Yeah.
that yesterday.
Yeah.
Feels really good
Yeah.
with the clutching change.
Yes.
Getting the right elevation clutching in there.
Yeah.
That thing that was a lot of fun yesterday. Actually, we went up two top. Took my daughter up there on a.
Yeah, we were in two top too.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we waved from the other side. It was pretty windy yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a windy, cold one.
Yeah.
All right, you got anything else there, Steve?
With the bigger driver, is there a bigger concern with stud length on trail sleds like the MXZ?
The bigger driver 90 is just on the Turbo 850 MXZ, and we do have the stud pad for this. Yeah, we have a proposal for to put some stud on the 1 1/4 inch track.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
provide a guide for that.
Yes,
Yep.
and the backcountry are with the 8 teeth, 8 tooth. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Will you offer a removable snow flap for the shorter tunnel and the new snow flap?
Yeah, it's gonna be available. So basically, the new snow flap will fit both tunnel length. So it will be retrofittable to older models. So let's say 24, 25.
Okay.
But the previous one will not fit the new tunnel. So if you have a shorter tunnel, you need the new snow flap that will be released in 26.
All right. There's a question on there from Justin. There's towards the bottom.
Oh.
Gesture.
Let's go with that one then. How easy is it to front flip over the front end of the new S32 when you hit a rock or a stump? Asking for a friend again.
He's been over the bars every ride he's been out this year.
Yeah.
On any brand, he's taken a trip over the bars every ride. When we were out riding with Fox last Wednesday, and Tony,
Yeah.
and Carl, yeah, Justin shortened the A arm on one sled. took a trip over the bars. Like I think he's on a streak right now. So we'll see how this goes tomorrow.
He's probably hoping to just drop it off at the engineering trailer and have us fix it.
I hope not. We've done enough of that. Let's see. The DS4 ski. Any change this year to the skis on that? So for 24 to 25, you changed the taper on the rear on the tail of the ski.
Yeah, and
And
there's
so-
a template available for that if you want to cut your 24, 23 DS4.
Okay, but for 26, same ski.
Yes.
Same shape.
Same ski, yeah, and it makes a big difference. So if you're out there and not having the rear section cut, I highly suggest that you do it. It makes a big difference.
We're getting a few questions from Heinester. He's got a lot of feedback so far as what he'd like to see in the future. 15-inch wide tunnel, get rid of all the 16 wides, lighter clutch side panel question mark. So it's, and then when will we see an all new chassis? Obviously, again, we can't talk about future products. So thanks for the feedback, and we'll definitely take that under advisement. But yeah, that's to come.
Question here from Rhett Clark. Is the track lighter on the 26? As we've discussed that on the Summit X, it is lighter, 2 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
Is there a performance benefit to the offset center lug? So that the center lug on the track is offset as it goes over the track, right? Again, going back to track testing and track design, does that just scoop up more snow, take a chunk of untracked snow, or how does that work?
Basically, there was no downside. So what we were doing is trying to remove weight. That's a big mass in rotation. So we were, trying to find an optimal pattern. I would say is performing as good as the previous one, but you have maybe a quicker response since there's less mass to rotate. So maybe a bit on the response, but track design is as equally good as what it was.
Okay.
Is he going to ride with us this week?
Yep. He'll be here. Yeah, all
Yep.
4 of them will be here, and Steve and Brady as well.
There you go. And Justin, again, did the angle of the steering post change with the S32?
Did not.
No, it's the same steering angle.
So talk about that. We had a conversation. We had a conversation on our podcast, and we've had a conversation separately. The vertical steering versus the Skidoo, it's not necessarily lay down steering, but it's not quite vertical upright. Some people will say, why doesn't Skidoo go to a vertical steering? The riding and handling is better. And you guys, the response you had initially was, it's a Skidoo. We don't want to lose our Skidoo characteristics. People like it for what it is. It works better in a lot of scenarios. What's the thought on the steering design and how that works?
During the year, for sure, it's an old question we had since years, and we've done several tests, prototype, and evaluation with ergonom, and our expert as well wrote different scenario with different steering angle. And honestly, there's advantage to the more vertical steering column, but there's also huge disadvantage. And from our point of view, we really believe that our steering angle has more advantage than disadvantage.
What are the biggest advantages of your steering angle?
When you lose the vehicle on the backside, let's say you lose your side hill, by having a vertical steering column, it's very, very hard to recover.
Yeah.
It's very hard to recover.
Yeah, because the handlebars are farther downhill, rotating away from you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think for a guy that's as tall as you, Ryan, you may not notice this as much, but you mentioned Steve Martin earlier. A shorter guy with a vertical steering post may have a little tougher time.
Yeah, we've seen that with some riders. Let's see. Just got here. Did they say why the expert didn't get a coilover on the rear suspension? We talked about it at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
You'll have to go back and watch the beginning. But expert is expert. X is X. Like.
Yeah, I think now the people getting it. Okay, we have 3 segments, if I may say. The X that is light, agile, effortless. The Expert, which is precise, technique, and predictable, and the free ride, which is the send it mindset. And now it's getting there. Okay, so the people more realize what they need, and little detail like the color Vincent was mentioning. That now you can have the same vehicle, the same color for the 3 segments, so the people can select really what they need. The 3 package are premium package. Our goal is to have our customer on the right sled. So so the X is the X and the Expert is the Expert, but they are both good sled for what they are. Yeah.
So which is for who? Like, how would you define the X rider? How would you define the expert rider?
Yeah, the X rider, okay, it's hard to define without hurting anyone, you know what I mean? So our, let's say, the customer that are riding Summit since long time, they feel more home on the X package than the Expire, okay? The people that are slightly more aggressive and want to attack side hill, they prefer the precision of the Expire, okay? If you like the effortless and the playfulness of the X, okay, you don't really mind this loosey feeling sometimes. The expert guy don't like this, so this is why we go rigid everywhere, and they love it. And the S32 is even more rigid than the last year Expire. So, and you felt it yourself. There's no real drawback going S32, just advantage.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, I've got one more question from you, then we'll wrap it up. Could someone who hadn't ridden wrong foot forward get on a new expert with S32 and ride in the mountains better?
I think so. I'm probably the less experienced of the group in mountain riding.
Yeah, maybe, and I'm thinking maybe this is somebody who has ridden their whole life but never really adapted that riding style change. And are they going to have an easier time on the 32?
I would think so. I really, I would think so.
too.
For sure, it's hard to put ourselves into a real beginner experience. But the S32 really allow us to ride more neutral, and it's
a huge benefit.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I really think
it's quite intuitive riding style if you're not used to anything else. I mean, on my side, I've been riding mountain sleds a couple times per year since maybe 5 years, but I really felt at home on the 32. It's because it's less. I mean, not less effort, but more intuitive. You don't need, as you said, you don't need to lean as much. You don't need to counter steer as much. Like side hilling on both sides is more equivalent, I would say, compared to on a wider ski stance.
That's a good point. Going left-hand side hill is actually, or right-hand side hill is actually, is most people tend to stick to a left-hand side hill because it's easier. But on a right-hand side hill, off camber, downhill, anything to the right actually is easier than it would on a different vehicle. And it's more forgiving as long as you stay right or neutral and don't get carried away with input motion and hopping over the seat and doing wrong foot forward. You don't need to do that on the S32. Stay neutral. It's actually very forgiving.
Yeah, you can, if you lose it, you can bring it back. Yeah,
and it cuts into the hill very easily. Yeah. Okay, I think we'll wrap it up there. One last double check there. Okay, let me thank everybody that's been here today. Steve Cowing with Skidoo, PR manager. Fred Desjardins, Skidoo product manager. Matt, Skidoo product manager for Deep Snow. Great job, by the way. Round of applause.
Thanks.
Good job there. Vincent Duchesne, Skidoo product manager. Pascal Gagnon, Vincent, vehicle dynamic specialist, suspension guru down there, working on the coilover. Thank you. Round of applause for you as well. And we were going to have Steve Martin here originally, but we missed him today.
Oh, he's out there. He's racing with his kids at the 120 races or 200 racers.
That figures.
Yep.
Good for him, though. But for everybody at home, thanks for listening. We appreciate you tuning in to the SnoWest YouTube channel, checking out the SnoWest show on YouTube. We're also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. It helps us out. It helps us be able to go generate more content like this and keep these shows rolling. We're going to try to put out content throughout the summer. And we're rolling into next year with a lot of reviews on the 26s. We'll break down these even more. If you want to go get a little more of an in-depth conversation about the Summit X, the 2026 Summit X, the 2026 Summit X with Expert package, go back to the SnoWest YouTube channel, scroll down a little bit. We've got a couple podcast reviews where our test staff went out and rode a couple weeks ago with your team, rode these new 2026 models and came back and we talked about our first impressions on that, as well as kind of more in depth on what some of the changes are. So go back and find those on the SnoWest YouTube channel. Follow the SnoWest show. And if you're on social media, find us on Instagram at SnoWest Magazine. We're also on TikTok and Facebook. And go to snowwest.com and check out what we have there. A lot of our news updates and industry news winds up on there. You've got the SnoWest forums, which is an absolute great resource for anybody trying to get into the sport or anybody who's an active rider. And go to snowwest.com, subscribe to the magazine. 51 years in print.
Awesome.
Oh,
That's
wow.
a long stretch.
Yeah, it is.
It's been, and we're still going strong. Subscribe to the magazine. We'll send you issues right to your front door. And check out our line of merch. We've got some hats and T-shirts, hoodies. We're out of hoodies right now, but we got more stuff coming here in the next couple months. Sticker packs and everything. Lots of cool stuff there. Check out at snowwest.com. And thank you all for coming on. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having us on your show. And by the way, your show is quite great. We don't miss any of this. And the big part of the team is watching your podcast. So yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
We have some fun with you guys, but you guys are great to work with. We appreciate the friendship beyond just working with each other. We appreciate the friendships because we're all mountain riders here, right?
Correct.
So, and I know I'm going to need some more ski poles, so I'm kind of loading up for the week.
Yeah, we owe a big thanks to SnoWest, and we also want to thank the people that chimed in today, and thank you for your questions.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next episode.